What's up, internet? My name is Ori. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. You like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Today, we're going over Digital Daily number 27, kind of the last little update before the eviction episode tonight. So I wanted to kind of get this out there to give you an idea of where things are kind of going into the vote tonight. So the last we saw, it seemed like actually Jonathan had a good chance of staying. It was always about the girly pops are voting for Jonathan to stay. Like, that is set in stone. They want Jonathan to stay. And then we weren't 100% sure about the Shady Bunch, right? The group of Anika, Kuzi, and Daniel. Where were they going to go? Are they going to lean more towards Jonathan? Are they going to lean towards Hope? It actually seems like they want to keep Hope around more than Jonathan, which I'll be honest, is probably the better move, right? Jonathan is the one who is more likely to actually win the game than Hope would. So usually my theory in Big Brother is whoever is the biggest target on the block, whoever is the person who is the best player should be the one you should evict. There's usually not really a good reason to keep someone who is going to win over you at all, right? Like there may be some slim reasons, right? Some slim chance, small percentage, situations where keeping a bigger player in the game would be beneficial to your game. But at least most of the times, right? 9 times out of 10, it's always better to get the person who is more likely to win out. And Jonathan is just more likely to win than Hope would. I think if you had a kind of stack rank who the, potential winners of this game are right now, I think Kuzi beats everyone in the final 2. I think Jonathan would be the next person to beat everyone in the final 2. After that, maybe Daniel. I think Daniel has a really good shot of winning against almost anyone if he gets to the final 2. And then it gets a little bit more fuzzy from there on who would be, the best person in the situation. Maybe Claudia would have a really good shot, but Anika would probably beat Claudia as well because of all the people in the crown voting for her. So it gets a little bit fuzzy, right? And maybe even Jonathan might vote Claudia over Anika, so that one's probably close. So yeah, I just think overall Jonathan's probably the second most likely person to win if they made it to the final 2, so it is better to get him out. But we saw in yesterday's daily that there was a lot of talk about, hey, let's come together, the two sides, why split the vote here? Let's just all find a common thing to do. Let's keep Jonathan, send Hope out, because Hope is too untrustworthy, right? You're quite sure on where he's going to be, right? He's shown a lot of times that he can be unreliable and that he needs to be watched a little bit more. So it made sense, oh, okay, let's keep Jonathan, somebody that we know we don't have to worry about, and move forward with that. But it all really came down to Santina at the end of the day, because the Shady Bunch now have seen like they are going to vote Hope. The girly pops are going to vote for Jonathan, well, to stay. The Shady Bunch are going to evict Jonathan. The girly pops are going to evict Hope. So it came down to Santina and what she wants to do. We did see, though, Santina had a lot of worry about whether or not she could trust in Jonathan to kind of stick around and fight for this. And it seemed like, hey, are we missing something here? Yeah, we probably are. There's a little bit more to why Jonathan isn't seen as somebody who maybe can stick it out for the long haul with how hard this game's going to be for Santina than just him being a nice guy, because he is a nice guy, and we all kind of saw that maybe, he doesn't have what it takes to be super cutthroat. So it came down to what does she want to do, and it now seems like she's leaning Hope to go. This daily drop today pretty much had Jonathan saying his goodbyes without saying his goodbyes and saying it's okay. Let's kind of go over a couple of the conversations here, because there was, some interesting things. We started off with Ty and Claudia, who were kind of talking about the lack of trust that they had. This is maybe the weirdest showmance we've ever had on the season. Even Kyle and Alyssa on BB24. They were on opposite sides of the house without Alyssa knowing that Kyle was on the opposite side of the house and in the leftovers. But even then, they would still talk game, even though it was a fake game. These two, Ty and Claudia, everything's so vague about what's happening. They're like, oh, well, I've got my people, you've got your people, and, we're making connections and relationships. And I probably have relationships you don't even know about that aren't obvious. And it's like, you're supposed to be like together, but you're not. It's such a weird dynamic between the two of them. It's wild to me. Eventually, though, even more awkward. Santina comes out to the backyard and Claudia leaves, and they stay on them with the camera for a little bit, and they literally sit in silence. Like, it is so awkward as they're just sitting out there. But then we move on to Renee and Nene, and they're kind of just chatting. It sounded like they were almost chatting about what would happen if the chain of safety were to be put into play, but I wasn't quite sure. We came in like the middle of that conversation because they were like, well, they would save, this person, and then it would be like, us three left or whatever. It sounded like it was a chain of safety thing, but they could have just been talking other scenarios as well. Then they're kind of wondering if it is okay to keep Hope and Santina in here together because they're going to be kind of a force to be reckoned with. Regardless, though, they said they are voting to save John in the eviction tonight. And they wonder if Hope stays, though, and wins, what would he do? Would he put up Ty and Claudia? And then if Ty came down, would one of them be the replacements, which obviously is not good for them. And I think that's really why the Shady Bunch and Santina have decided to go with Hope over Jonathan, because they feel like Jonathan wouldn't be able to make that move of putting the girls up. Although I think he would, right? Like, I think he would put up Renee and Nene before he would put up anybody from the Crown. Jonathan is very loyal. The only reason he would ever turn on the Crown is if they decide to vote him out, which they seem like they're doing. If I was Santina, I'd probably vote to keep Jonathan, make the Shady Bunch look very shady to Jonathan, and just blow this whole thing up because it's chaos. And I love chaos. I thrive in chaos. And I think Santina would actually end up being able to just sit back, dust her hands off, and be like, listen, you guys go after each other. But it seems like she's putting more of her faith into the other side. We'll get to that more in a bit. We have then Daniel, Anika, Hope, and John having a quick little convo that we kind of cut from and go to Kuzi and Ty. But during the quick one, it had how Daniel was saying, he will tell Renee to get that booty up on the block if he gets to nominate her. And then we cut to Kuzi and Ty, who says, he told Claudia, voting Hope out is best for your game, right? And Kuzi said she will try and talk to her too, and how like the girls are bad for her to stick with. And it at this point, I don't understand why they keep trying to push this with Claudia. Like, she's not going to turn on the girls, so I don't know why they think that they can do this. And the fact that they think that they can get her to turn on the girls, to me, shows like they don't know what's going on in this game. Like, they really are being way too overconfident in what's going on, and they're the ones being cocky when they're trying to say the other girls, Renee, are the cocky ones. Like, anyone who would think that Nene wouldn't use the veto on Renee, mind-blowing. Anyone who thinks that they can still pull Claudia away from those girls, it's mind-blowing to me. Like, that is being arrogant in this game. And I'm just really surprised that they think they could pull that off. We end up going back to that convo with Daniel, Anika, Hope, and John. And they talk about, if they were going to nominate people, they could like put the crown on. And then they're like, well, people would probably catch on to that, right? And Anika says, we're the crown. Like, we don't fear no one. Okay, again, with that kind of arrogance I was talking about, it seems like they're getting a little bit too confident. John says, listen, if he's to leave, against, somebody in the alliance, if he's supposed to go tomorrow against Hope, it's okay because, we're the crown and one of the crown will win the game. Anika then says, Renee is playing dirty and she needs to be more humble. She's been on the block 3 times. It's like, Okay, Miss, we fear no one. What have you done? What have you done, Anika? Legitimate question. Anika, what have you done in this game? Have you won anything? No. The only thing you've done is kind of sit in your bedroom with Kuzi and kind of let her do most of the work. So come on now. Come on now. Someone needs to be humble. I think it needs to be Anika who needs to be a little bit humble here. If you guys can't tell, I'm feeling a little bit better, still a little under the weather, but I'm in that moment where it's like I'm getting a little boost of energy and things are coming out. Things are coming out from me right now. Eventually Kuzi and Ty join, but there's no real game talk. They end up like kind of cheersing to season 11. They're like, lift up their cups. Then we get John and Santina, and this is where we kind of get the idea that Santina has already told Jonathan that she's probably voting for Hope to stay. And he says, listen, I know I'm probably going to jury and I'm okay with that. And then he kind of pumps her up, tells her about how amazing she is, that she's not just a girl, she's a woman to him, and how powerful she is in this game. And how much he loves her, and it's okay. And like, this isn't goodbye, it's see you later. His door in Newfoundland is always open to her, and just kind of saying like, it's okay. I understand that you have to do what's best for your game. We then get a convo with Santina and Hope, and she says she still has to talk to Kuzi, which we actually see that conversation a little bit later. And Hope tells her like he's already talked to them and said like, listen, like Santina's not coming after you guys. We have a common goal here in getting out Ty and the girls. So like once all that's done, like then we can figure things out. But Santina's going to be good. We can trust her. She said she talked to Renee. And she was trying to tell her like Hope was in on, getting Ty out and everything, but Renee wasn't kind of buying into it and is still stuck on Jonathan as being the one to stay. He tells her that, listen, like if I stay, I'm going to be your soldier. I'm going to work with you and fight for you. And like, we can do this. And Santina's like, you just need to stop putting yourself up on the block. Like, just stop this already. Just say if Ty wins, like that, he has the power, you will make him make that choice of who to put up. Don't put yourself up on the block. And then they just kind of continue to talk about, their plans kind of moving forward of sticking together and being true. We then get the Kuzi and Santina convo where Santina says like people are pulling her in all different kinds of directions, but the girly pops, Claudia, Nene, and Renee, they're not giving her reasons to trust, right? There's just not enough there for her to be able to put her faith into that. And Kuzi kind of says like, yeah, they will turn on you so fast, which yes and no. I feel like the girly pops would go after Kuzi and Aniko before they would go after Santina. But again, this is kind of where Santina just has to make that choice, right? It's a tough one, right? Neither side is really going to have your back. You're the low man on the totem pole either way you go. But you have to choose on who you can kind of get along with more. And it seems like she's going with the Shady Bunch side rather than the girly pups. Santina then says too as well, like she's never coming after Kuzi and Anika, and that it's for her at least. She feels like it should be the girly pops before Ty. And Kuzi even agrees to this, which that in itself is mind-blowing. Ty has to go if you were in this situation. The girls, like, yeah, they could probably win a competition. They probably put you up, but it's just the three of them. Renee has literally shown she can't win a thing. Nene has won one competition, and then Claudia hasn't really won anything except she was close with that endurance competition, but you would think that they would hope that Hope could be able to beat her since he did last longer on the last endurance comp, though I will say I think she only lost that because they made him go to one hand. So yeah, it's kind of wild that they're actually thinking that Ty should be the one to go before the girls. Santina actually says she would like a final four to be her and the Shady Bunch, Daniel, Anika, Kuzi, and herself. And they talk about what they would do if they would win and putting up the girls and things like that. There was a weird thing in this too. Like while they were talking, they were saying like, oh, like if the competition is like one of those ones where you have to press the button on like which one first, right? It's like two people up there, like they don't know if they'd be good at that necessarily. and they were told to stop talking about production, which I had never really heard that before. Usually house guests are perfectly okay to kind of speculate on what the future comps are going to be, but this seems like they wanted to shut them down for that, which was weird. And then after that, they continue to kind of talk about, game and trying to build trust between the two of them, and the other group as well. And then we end up getting Kuzi and Daniel kind of having a short little convo where most of it was just them chatting about how sad it is that John's going to be leaving. But Kuzi does fill Daniel in on some of the convo that she had with Santina. Mainly that, Santina said she wanted a Final Four with us, but she doesn't know if she believes it or not. Daniel actually says he kind of does believe it. So we'll see how this all kind of plays out moving forward. But yeah, it seems like we have come to the conclusion that Jonathan will be evicted tonight, by at least a vote of 4-3. Although, again, who knows? Maybe Santina has a last second change of heart and goes Jonathan instead. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. But it does seem likely that John will be leaving the game. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Who do you think is going to be evicted tonight? I will have a recap for the episode tomorrow as well. And then if we get dailies from afterwards, we'll see how that all goes too. Thank you guys so much again for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Check out all the links to all my socials in the description and a pinned comment down below. My Twitch, my Twitter, my Discord, the new Kick stream. You can check all that kind of stuff out. And I will see you next time.